Oh shit, almost forgot. I'll admit, I absolutely love this belt, and honestly, one of the biggest reasons I got it for myself was I love belts, and I've always wanted one to call my own. Since I was younger, there was a part of me that always wanted to buy replica belts, but I never felt justified in spending all that money on a title that was a fabrication of something real. I didn't want to own a toy version of an existing belt that belonged to somebody else. I wanted something unique. So now, 20 years after I began watching wrestling, I finally have one, and as cheesy as it sounds, it feels amazing. If this show ever goes away, I'll always have this belt to remind me of how far I've come. A long time ago, I put out a list of what I thought were the worst championship belt designs, and ever since then, I've been asked to make a video showcasing the other side of the coin, or in this case, the center plate. So this week, I'm gonna rank them, my top 8 favorite championship belt designs, besides this one, of course. Number 8, the WWF Tag Team Championships. Of all the tag title belts I've seen come and go over the years, to me, nothing will beat this design. When I first began watching wrestling, besides the world title, these were the belts I loved looking at the most. Held by some of the greatest tag teams in history, this design went basically unchanged from the 1980s all the way until 2002 when the first brand split took effect. Don't fix something if it ain't broken. It's a relatively basic design. There aren't too many elaborate details or embellishments, but the belts were clean, easy to identify, and had an identity all their own. Yes, the nickel belts of today have those qualities as well, but it's just not the same. The belts on this countdown possess a timeless look that I'm still disappointed is gone today. Number 7, the Ring of Honor Television Championship 2012 version. I don't know why, but when I was putting this list together, I kept coming back to this belt. It isn't exactly the prettiest belt in the world or the most detailed, but I think I like it because it has a rarely used design that works really well. I found myself to be kind of a sucker for belts that have a tall, oblong center plate. This one was obviously inspired by the old WCW six-man tag titles, another one I appreciate. I even think the infamous Hogan Mystery belt, which he only wore a handful of times, looked pretty cool for the exact same reason. I think the oblong center plate's a perfect design for a mid-card belt because the height of the plate gives off the look of a huge belt without actually having to be huge. I'm kind of surprised it isn't used more. Though it was replaced earlier this year, the previous Ring of Honor TV title is unique without going too far off the beaten path, giving it a cool, memorable look. Number 6, the IWGP United States Championship. Over the years, there's been a few different US Championship designs. There's the classic WCW look, which I've softened my stance on a bit over the last couple of years. Then there's the more modern WWE look, which even though it's polarizing, it's one I still appreciate. Then there's New Japan's latest championship, which is a great mix of two different worlds. Just introduced last year as part of New Japan's recent expansion into our country, it's kind of like what would happen if the WWE US Championship and the IWGP Intercontinental title had a belt baby. There's the ornate detail in every inch of metal and leather while retaining the bold, patriotic feel of what a US title should be. The stars and stripes front and center, the mix of silver and gold plating to help certain parts stand out, the red leather strap, all with a New Japan line atop the whole thing. A new championship that pays homage to the past, this is a design that I believe will stand the test of time. Number 5, the WCW Championship. This one was a toss-up for me because I really like both WCW Championship belt designs, the one that was used for a bit in the early 90s and the more famous, better-known big gold belt. But for this countdown, I had to go with the latter of the two. For its time, the BGB was pure opulence. In an era of smaller belts and some minor details, this one hits you in the face with its size and its elegance. It looks like it belongs beside a king's throne or in a majestic ballroom. It screams money. It screams power. Synonymous with guys like Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Sting, and countless other legends, it's a style that's inspired the look of hundreds of belts since then, and for good reason. Though the Ron Simmons version of the championship is awesome in its own right, the big gold belt has a level of beauty and gravitas that is impossible to ignore. Number 4. The Winged Eagle WWF Championship. Like the WCW title, it's kind of cliche to include the Winged Eagle in lists like this, but how can it be cliche when it feels so right? This belt is an absolute classic. For most fans of my generation, it's the standard by which every WWE Championship belt has been measured against ever since its debut. Practically everything about this belt is unique in its own way. Look how damn majestic that eagle is. It's so big its wingspan goes beyond the borders of the center plate. The side plates reach out to their absolute limits in all directions like beams of light. The Art Deco style lettering has never really been used before or since on any title belt, except for one I'll address later. Unlike the big gold belt, which has unfortunately been bastardized over the years with several knockoff designs, the Winged Eagle is truly one of a kind. The belt of Shawn, the belt of Diesel, the belt of Bret. It's the championship that's defined a generation of wrestlers and fans. Number 3. The Ring of Honor World Championship. Since its inception in 2002, the Ring of Honor World Championship has undergone several transformations, some not for the better, but I think the current model is the best one yet. I always thought the company's previous version of the world title was too smushed up, like they got the measurements of the center plate wrong when applying the design. You can even see it in the wording up top. Those words look uncomfortable, but the new design, which came out late last year, corrects those problems and enhances the good stuff. The new belt does retain some elements from the previous version, most notably the inner parts of the side plates, but then the belt hits you in the face with grandiose. Look at the jewels, the flourish, the crown. The ROH logo pops with silver plating while gold surrounds it, and while the stripes in the background give the belt a modern tweak, it doesn't clash with the regality of the rest of the design. This is one beautiful, detailed championship. After 16 years in business, Ring of Honor is in probably one of the strongest positions it's ever been in terms of prominence and relevance, and now they finally have a world title that's worthy of being shown off to the masses. Number 2. The Big Cookie WWF Championship. Why do I rank this belt higher than the vaunted Winged Eagle? 2 reasons. Not only was it the belt that was there when I first started watching the WWF, but it also took the idea of the Winged Eagle and that design and blew it up for a bigger, badder product. It looks like someone took the old title and pumped it full of, let's just say air for the sake of this video, but it works so well. Not only is the center plate a much more aesthetically pleasing perfect circle, it incorporates a lot of the elements of the original title. They kept the thin little pieces in between the center plate and side plates, though it looks like it's actually part of the main plate here. You still have your rays of light on the top and bottom, they keep the familiar font where it says Champion, and the eagle is still there, even bigger than before, only now it's well contained within the plate. They even added some lions. It's a great tribute to the previous belt, evolving while still able to stand on its own as an awesome championship. Before I reveal my top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. The NWA Television Championship. I enjoy looking at belts with this kind of design. It's a shape not unlike that of the AWA Tag titles or the NWA Pacific Northwest title, but I admire this design most of all for its use of the bright red strap to really have it stand out among other championship belts. I also pop for its use of network logos for side plates. It's a shame that Fox hadn't come around yet to fill that 4th plate though. The WWE United Kingdom Championship. Say what you will about the design of the current WWE title, but this seems to be the first use of it that really hits it out of the park. While it keeps the basic framework, there's virtually no dead space in the center plate. Instead, the royal coat of arms is practically bursting out of the center. No pun intended, but it's a very regal look that beautifully complements the modern aesthetic of the WWE title belt. The NWA Missouri Heavyweight Championship. A title I only discovered when doing my research for a recent video about one-time Intercontinental Champs. I fell in love with it right away because of its unique look. There's that oblong center plate again with the rectangular side plates and an awesome blue paint job that makes it stand out without being too gaudy. In a time when most territory belts didn't look all that great, to me, this one is the prettiest. And my favorite championship belt design of all time is the WWE Undisputed Championship. Of all the world titles WWE has produced, this one is without a doubt my favorite championship, no question. To me, this design is the big cookie in its final form. Some of the elements like the globe, the eagle, and the lions are still there, but then they take away the blue water of the globe and make it all one shade of black, keeping everything neat and uniform. At a first glance, it's hard to tell just where the eagle ends and the rest of the plate begins, but that's a good thing. In my opinion, this is WWE's equivalent of the big gold belt in more ways than one. It's probably the fanciest looking world title they produced, and its broad center plate gives off the air of a massive championship. The biggest tragedy with this belt, along with the big cookie, is how briefly it was used. It debuted shortly after WrestleMania 18 when Triple H won the undisputed title off of Chris Jericho, then it was gone after Mania 21 when John Cena unveiled his blinged out title, the belt that I ranked number 1 on my worst belts list. It may surprise you to learn that that connection had nothing to do with my choice for number 1 here. Well, almost nothing. A clean, gorgeous belt whose time in the sun came and went way too soon, the undisputed title is my personal favorite championship belt design. So what belts are your favorite? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Zane, and I'll see you next time.